The story begins with Rohan, a sweet 8-year-old boy. But for the past few days, that boy hadn't been a child. Rohan would sit in his room, but his eyes, they were in another world. He would draw strange lines with charcoal on the walls, ancient-looking maps, and he'd talk to himself for hours. But it felt as if he wasn't talking to himself, but to someone else, as if an unseen presence was always with him. His mother, seeing this, would get a chill down her spine. One night she gathered her courage and asked gently, "Son, what are you doing?" But Rohan's gaze wasn't on his mother. He was looking right through the wall at something only he could see. "Ma, I have to go," Rohan said, his voice laced with a strange, deep seriousness and an unknown fear. His voice wasn't that of an 8-year-old. That well, it's calling me. I can't stay away from there. His parents were shocked. These were not the words of their 8-year-old son. His dad tried to reason with him gently. "Beta, these are just your dreams. No well is calling you." But Rohan was calm and certain. "It's not just a dream, Papa. I know. I am having memories of my past life. I have to go there, not just for myself, but for everyone." His parents tried to persuade him many times. They were terrified. But in the face of Rohan's insistence and the strange depth in his eyes, they had to give in. They finally made a difficult decision. They couldn't ignore their son's pleas any longer. So the next day, they set out with him for that unknown place, a place that wasn't on their map, and a place that no one had ever heard of. As they drove further and further away from the city, Rohan's behavior got even stranger. A route that even Google Maps didn't know, 8-year-old Rohan knew it like the back of his hand. "Take a right here, Papa. There will be a broken bridge ahead." And everything was exactly as he said. After hours of traveling, they reached an old, desolate-looking village. As soon as he stepped into the village, Rohan's entire demeanor changed. He was no longer a scared child, but someone who looked as if he owned this very soil. He walked straight to the middle of the village and stopped in front of a dry old well. There was a terrifying silence there, just the sound of the wind and the eerie cawing of crows from a distance. Rohan looked down into the well and whispered a name, Madhav. This story now goes back to the year 1925. At that time, this village was not desolate, but prosperous. Canals flowed with water, and you could hear the gentle hum of happy lives inside the houses. And the guardian of that village's prosperity was Madhav, a fearless and just young man. The villagers considered him their everything, because Madhav always thought about the well-being of his village. But every story has a villain. Here it was Madhav's own childhood friend, Karan. Karan and Madhav had played together since childhood, but as they grew up, Karan's heart filled with greed and jealousy. At that time, Madhav had the original land deeds of the village and a red satchel which contained the village's treasure. These were not just documents, they were the village's future. These papers stated that the land belonged to the villagers and any claim from an outside landowner was unacceptable. One dark, moonless night, when darkness had fallen over the village, Madhav decided to hide that red satchel in a secret cellar near the well. He knew that this would be the safest place, but Karan had seen him planning all of this. Blinded by greed, he made a plan to betray his best friend and the entire village for just a few gold coins. As Madhav went near the well and bent down to hide the red satchel, Karan came from behind and gave him a hard push. Madhav lost his balance and fell, screaming, into that deep, dark well. As he was falling, his eyes were filled with the pain of betrayal and rage. He shouted with all his might, "Until this truth comes out, until this injustice is exposed, I will return. To settle my score, I will definitely return." At that very moment, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, and Madhav's voice was buried forever in the depths of that well. 100 years later, in 2025, 8-year-old Rohan was standing near that same well. In his small eyes was Madhav's same 100-year-old anger and the same determination for justice. The time had come to expose that 100-year-old conspiracy and murder. Rohan pointed to a specific spot and said to his dad, "Here, dig here." With the help of a few villagers, his parents started digging, and in a short while, an old rusted iron chest was pulled out. Everyone was stunned. When the chest was opened, inside it was that same 100-year-old red satchel and the original land deeds of the village. The proof was right there. The villagers were dumbfounded. There was a mix of disbelief, fear, and a little bit of happiness in their eyes. An old man said in a trembling voice, So this means our ancestors were cheated? Rohan said slowly, This truth is now ours. We have to honor it and choose the right path for our village. The villagers decided together that the wealth hidden in the red satchel would now be used only for the development and well-being of the village. The old well and canals were repaired, a small school and a small hospital were built in the village. Slowly, happiness returned to that desolate village. Madhav's unfinished promise was finally fulfilled. His restless soul found peace, and 8-year-old Rohan was now free from that burden. But one question is still floating in the air. Do we all take rebirth to fulfill some unfinished promise? Are our memories just ours, or are they also stored somewhere in the universe? Science gives this phenomenon the name cellular memory, and Dharma calls it reincarnation. But whether you believe in science or religion, this experience always remains a deep mystery. Every soul has a hidden, untold story, which perhaps is waiting to be completed in the next life. Every soul carries a story, a purpose, a forgotten promise. Sometimes we have to travel back in time to heal the present. Have you also felt a strange connection to a particular place? Tell us in the comments.